A lot of people, as you could see, the implied opening odds have Aliskerov as the favorite right here. A lot of people think that he's going to be the bigger, stronger guy and that he's got an advantage given this is a short notice bout. I beg to differ. I think that Whittaker, even though he had to prepare for a different opponent, is probably a little bit more prepared. He's been preparing for 5 rounds this entire time, didn't have to do all the crazy travel at the last second while cutting weight for essentially a week. Who's in the favorite here?
I definitely think it's Bobby Knuckles, Derek, especially like you said, nonetheless, the weight cut and then in the preparation, or I guess being prepared for a 5-round fight, being prepared for a fight in general. Yeah, sure. Aliskerov, he was ready for his fight last week, but then he has all that extra stuff that was going on, right? Causing some chaos. It's not like Robert Whittaker hasn't seen the style that Aliskerov presents. So there's nothing too drastically crazy. It's not like he's being completely surprised with something that's out of left field. Yeah, sure, it's an opponent change, but a professional like Robert Whittaker knows how to get it down. He has a whole team behind him. They're going to be breaking down all of Aliskerov's fights. So he's going to be prepared going into this. I don't see it as that big of a detriment as the media is leading on to be.
Can that chin hold up anymore, man? He's starting to get hit, starting to get touched a little bit. And a lot of people think that the power that Aliskerov presents doesn't matter if it's short notice, doesn't matter if it was a regular full camp bout. They think that if he touches Whittaker, it's going to be problems right here. This right here could be an opening. This could be an opportunity for a betting folk right here to say, oh, okay, well, a lot of people think that the lean on Robert Whittaker is too heavy. They think that it's not a what have you done for me lately? It's more of his storied legacy, right? The guy who's always been the number 2 guy in the division if it wasn't for Izzy, even though he was the champ before that, but that's neither here nor there. Aliskerov, still unproven, right? Warley Alves, victory, right? Up a weight class, short notice bout. Impressive, but a little bit more that we need to see. Phil Hawes, he was getting touched up a little bit, and then he actually rocked Phil Hawes. I remember watching that in real time. Everyone thought that was a crazy upset, but we already knew the chin of Phil Hawes was a little bit questionable. So I'm not saying that Aliskerov isn't good. Only loss that he has officially is Khamzat Chimaev. He got stiffed by Khamzat Chimaev. Aside from that, he's taking people down at will. He's boxing with them at will. He's doing whatever he wants to whoever he wants. But again, Bobby Knuckles provides an interesting style. So let me give you the update, AJ. The number 3 man ranked in the world right now in the middleweight division, Robert Whittaker, he is no longer a minus 105 underdog, slight dog. He is now a minus 150 favorite, plus 125 comeback for Ikram Aliskerov. Before the line moves further as the weekend comes a little bit closer, if you were a betting man, which you totally are, right, and you weren't already having your pick revealed, when you take a look at those numbers, minus 150 for Whittaker, plus 125 for Aliskerov, what screams value to you of those 2 numbers?
Right off the bat, the Whittaker numbers, right? Minus 150. A lot of the times, especially with an unproven guy, you're not going to get a legend in the game, right? A veteran in the game, that number 3 in the division versus an unranked fighter. You're usually looking plus 250, plus 300 at minimum, right? Nonetheless, like we were talking about before, Bashar Bullet, he's a minus 600 favorite. We're lucky to not be seeing those numbers on the Robert Whittaker line. So that's cash right there for me. I mean, minus 150 is a great price to pay for Bobby Knuckles.
And not to double down on agreement right there, but I think the same thing, man. I think that this number could be skewed way further right here, but the fear factor of Ikram Aliskerov in the Saudi kingdom, I think that's playing a part with the odds right there. Not to say that Aliskerov isn't a very talented fighter, because he totally is, but in my opinion right here, a full camp Aliskerov versus Whittaker, that's a little bit of a different story right here. He had a camp, it was just against a different guy with all this travel mixed in. I think that lends a little bit to Robert Whittaker's favor. Let's talk about strategy though, and how it gets done. If you're looking at the props right here, the odds makers are implying that a knockout is actually going to be the best path to victory for both fighters. I don't know how I feel about that, man. I think that this one could draw out to a decision. It just depends on what the gas tanks are going to be looking like. What is your opinion?
I definitely think this one's more than likely not going to be finished, right? This one's going to decision, and I think that's why the prop for Robert Whittaker, that plus 265 decision, makes a lot more sense. I expect Robert Whittaker, because we know how dangerous Aliskerov is in the beginning of his fights, but he hasn't fought a 5-round fight yet. So if Robert Whittaker can drag him into those deep waters, push the pace on him, we might be able to see, if not a tired Aliskerov, at least a slowed down version, and that's when Bobby Knuckles just points his way to a decision victory.
Which is fair, because we know that has definitely been a time-tested strategy for him. When I go up and I pull up the just kind of the odds over here, as you can see, if you're taking a look at Robert Whittaker and Aliskerov here at the top, minus 150 is the over 2.5 round odd right there, plus 120 for the under for this fight right here, man. So if you're really looking at value right here. What's the better play? Is it going to be that plus what was it, plus 265 or whatnot for the decision for Robert Whittaker? Or rather, do you just say, I don't care who wins, man, minus 150 on an over. We're putting multiple units on that. What do you think?
I'm going with the latter, Derek, putting multiple units on that over 2.5, especially in a 5-round fight. We're talking going over to the middle of this one all day long. You smash that.
Absolutely. I think that's a fair play too right here. So to kind of round this thing out, like I said, I was alluding to the strategy a little bit right here. A lot of people are concerned if Aliskerov takes Whittaker down, he's not going to be able to get up. I like to remind people that, let's not forget, during the championship run, Whittaker had to fend off Yoel Romero, right, in terms of those takedowns. He's not a man that's easily taken down. I think his performance against Dricus du Plessis, the current middleweight champion right now, rubbed a lot of people wrong the wrong way, and I think that it's just left a bitter taste in their mouth, man, where Whittaker, at this point right now, just kind of seems like a guy who just doesn't quite have it in the tank anymore. We're going to find out this weekend right here. Is this going to be a fraud check situation, or do you truly believe that Aliskerov is a guy that can contend, just not under these circumstances?
No, I think this is a fraud check, Derek. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Bobby Knuckles, and don't get me wrong, Aliskerov is a scary man, but people need to be reminded, man, this is tiers, right? And we're going to see if Aliskerov is able to enter that next tier, all credit to him. I still got a lot of faith in Bobby Knuckles.
It's levels right here. We've seen it time and time again. We're looking for another one this weekend. Again, we think Bobby Knuckles, Bloody Water Podcast, consensus pick right here. We think that this is definitely going to be a steal when it comes down to value. So give us the play, Robert Whittaker. And the final one, where is the juice coming from, AJ? If you were a prop man, what's the prop going to be on Whittaker?
Over 2.5. Oh, on Whittaker only. My bad. We're going Whittaker only plus 265 decision.
Fair play. All right, folks, with that being said, that's your main event in Saudi Arabia. This is a big deal, folks. This is a legitimate big deal, and we're ready to cash in.